Hello and welcome. My name's Angela Davis and I'm the Forum Quilter. Thank you for joining me today and thank you for your patronage. I haven't posted in a while, but I'm still sewing behind the scenes. I had a 3 weeks where we still had some hot weather here in Ohio, and now it's just finally starting to cool down this last week, and it's been lovely, lovely going into fall weather. I have been just resting, listening to my body, you know, just sort of having a little bit of downtime, but still sewing in the background. So I am getting ready to machine quilt this quilt. It's a Drunkard's Path, and this is for a coworker who is having her first grandchild, and it's going to be a little girl. And she is currently actually out of the office and out of town to be with her daughter and her son-in-law and her husband. And we haven't heard anything yet, so you know, we're all sending good thoughts and vibes their way. So I'm going to run a little bit of fabric through here just to get that started. And I've already done a little stitch right along the edge here, and that's just to close up the seam. Let's see, where is it? Here's the seam. I think it's right here. I think it's right there. But that was just to close up the seam because I did the pillowcase method. And I've talked about this before. The pillowcase method is wonderful for smaller quilts and lap-size quilts. And what you do is you take your batting first on your table, and then you take your backing and your quilt top and you lay them right sides together. And then you stitch all the way around and you leave an opening. And then when you're done stitching all the way around, 1/4 inch from the edge of the quilt top, then you trim it to 1/4 inch. You trim it to the size of the quilt top, you clip the corners, and then you turn it all right side out, like a pillowcase. The back is this wonderful, wonderful plaid flannel. And so I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of stitching and talk to you while I do. So I'm just doing in the ditch. I'm not doing anything, you know, really fussy, because I want this to be a quilt that she uses every day. You know, I want this to be the quilt that, you know, her granddaughter drags around the house. You know, that kind of quilt. And what I'm doing is I'm just stitching in the ditch. So I'm doing a few stitches to start and then back stitching, and that's it. And then I'll begin sewing. I need my gloves. I have 2. I know I do. Somewhere. There we go. I've talked about gloves before. And sometimes it's like trying on shoes. You got to really try them on and see, but these have really great grip. And I got these at the hardware store, GRX Cut Series. Can you see that? And I like them because they really grip that fabric. I bought garden gloves before that supposedly have little grippies, but they still slide. These really grip. And I'm just stitching in the ditch. And I'm using white thread, stitching right up to that seam where I did that first line of sewing. Just doing a little bit of a back stitch. That's it. I'm trimming my threads as I go. There. So that first line of sewing. I don't know if you can see it. but it's there. Okay. So, what have I been up to these past 3 weeks when I haven't been filming? Well, honestly, I've been resting. I've been really having a hard time getting up at my usual early time in the morning, because normally for work, I like to get up early, relax a little bit. Sometimes I'll read, sometimes I'll come in here and sew, and then sometimes I'll lay down for an extra 15-20 minutes, and then I'll get up and get ready for work and go. Haven't been doing that. The last 3 weeks, I've been literally, I keep hitting that snooze, and I keep rolling back over in bed. So, how many of you have those days? I had 3 weeks of it. But I was still doing sewing. And I'll show you what I've been working on. I've actually been working on another scrap quilt to try to, try to decrease my scrap bin, but I swear it's, I don't know. It's tough to wear down that bin. I mean, every time you use up a few scraps, you're throwing more in. Do you find that to be true? I did 3 rows, this seam, the middle seam, and this seam. Now I'm going to go across the middle. So what I've been doing is I've been working on a 9 patch. Haven't done a 9 patch in a very long time. Love 9 patches. Love 9 patches. Always have. Oh, I'm dropping stuff. But I'm doing the color configuration a little different, and I'll show you that when I'm done here. Let me get this row. I like taking the safety pins out as I'm working rather than wait till the end, because I find that if I wait till the end, it feels like it takes forever to get those threads cut. Okay, so there it is, all quilted. And like I said, I just quilted in the ditch because I want this quilt to be used and loved and used up. I want it to be dragged around the house. I want her to, crawl underneath and pretend it's a cave. I want her to cover her dolls with it. I want her to sit outside on the grass with it, It's meant to be used and loved. And then the back is a nice soft flannel because the color of the room is this color here, this beautiful rosy mauve, and then the sheets for the crib are soft gray with white. And so these colors worked out beautifully for me because I already had them in my stash. And, you know, sometimes you just end up with really great colors. So I have been working on 9-patch blocks, and traditionally a 9-patch looks like this. Let me show you. Okay, but traditionally a 9-patch looks like this. You have 5 dominant on the outside corners and 1 in the middle, creating the X, or you have the dominant going down the center and across the middle to create a plus sign. Okay, well, the ones I'm making, I'm doing light and then dark mediums on this side. And I think what I'm hoping is going to happen is, I think it's going to create almost like a log cabin effect with light and dark, light on one side, dark on the other. And you can see here the same thing, the 3 lights and then the medium darks on this side. And the size blocks I'm doing, they should finish at 3 inches. So my block should finish at 9 inches. And I'm just using up scraps. I have a lot of this left over. I use this one in the backing, so I have a lot of scraps for that. And then everything else is just scraps for my scrap bin. So I want to have 36 blocks done, so I can do 6 across and 6 down. That'll give me 54 inches square. And I think I have a little more than a dozen done. So I'm going to continue to work on that. Here's another one. You can see the lights and then the darks. And I'm dropping things. But that's what I've been up to. And I've also been cutting strips, continuing to cut strips from my scrap bin and putting them in a box over there in a shoebox. Keeping busy, but I don't have anything completed to show you. I've just been doing a lot of cutting and setting strips aside or setting squares aside to work on these 9 patches. And I'm not going to show the 9-patch video in my YouTube channel until I have at least the whole quilt top done, and then I'll post something on my YouTube channel. But I wanted to give you all an update on what I'm doing. So thank you so much for joining me today. I thank you so much for your patronage and for your viewership on YouTube, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend, this Labor Day weekend, and please be safe and enjoy. And remember, why sleep when you can sew? Bye.